Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle some of the biggest myths about investing. You know, the ones that usually stop people dead in their tracks before they even get started.
Yeah, so many of us have this idea that investing is this exclusive club, right? For financial wizards or people who are already rich. Well, we're here today to show you why that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there. Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to dive into the most common myths, bust them one by one. Then, we'll even challenge an old rule, and finally, map out what your path forward could look like. First things first, let's just get those common fears out in the open, because honestly, these are the beliefs that keep so many people from building a better financial future. It's time to turn that fear into a solid foundation.
So, let's jump right into the biggest hurdle, shall we? This myth that there's some kind of high-dollar entry fee to even get into the world of investing.
We've all heard some version of this, right? The idea that you need this huge pile of cash just to be allowed in the game. And you know, way back when, with super high fees, that wasn't totally wrong. But today, the reality is completely different. And here's the real truth of the matter. Starting small and just being consistent is way more powerful than waiting around for years until you have a big lump sum. It's all about building a habit, not making one giant, scary move. And the magic that makes this possible is something called fractional shares. They basically blow the doors off the whole high stock price barrier, letting you own a piece of the companies you know and love, even if it's just with a few dollars.
And this right here shows you the incredible power of just sticking with it over the long haul. Think of it like going to the gym. You're not going to see huge results after one workout, right? But those small, regular efforts, they compound over time to create something really significant.
Okay, we've handled the I don't have enough money myth. So what about the next big scary one? Risk. Is investing just a high-stakes gamble where you could lose it all?
You know, this visual really captures something we all kind of know deep down. Our financial lives are already full of ups and downs. Investing isn't about adding more chaos to the mix. It's a long-term tool that's meant to help manage that volatility that's already there.
Look, let's be real. All investments can go down in value. That's a fact. But the goal isn't to get rid of risk, because that's impossible. The goal is to manage it smartly, so your money has the time it needs to bounce back from those inevitable short-term dips.
So how do you actually manage that risk? Well, the number one tool in the toolbox is diversification. It's that classic advice, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spreading your money around helps cushion the blow if one particular investment isn't doing so hot.
In fact, let's flip this around and talk about the risk of doing nothing. Check this out. Research shows that a staggering 65% of families don't have enough cash saved up to handle a typical emergency. Now that's risky.
And that cash you have tucked away, it's not perfectly safe either. It might feel secure, but there's this quiet, invisible force called inflation that's constantly chipping away at what your money can actually buy. That's a risk too.
All right, on to myth number 3. Do you need to basically quit your day job and become a Wall Street trader to be an investor? Do you have to be glued to your screen all day?
There's this fantastic saying that just hits the nail on the head. Effective investing is all about the long journey. It's not about frantically reacting to every single headline. It's about patience and just staying the course.
Honestly, constantly reacting to every little market dip and jump can do way more harm than good. It often causes people to panic and sell at the absolute worst times. A patient, more hands-off approach is often the most successful one.
I mean, trying to perfectly time the market, buy at the very bottom and sell at the very top, it's next to impossible. And history shows us again and again that some of the biggest jumps upward happen right after big drops. And if you're sitting on the sidelines, you just miss out on that recovery.
So we've busted the big, obvious myths, but here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes, even the widely accepted rules of investing can become myths themselves over time.
For anyone who's ever looked into retirement planning, you've probably heard of this one. For decades, the 4% rule was like the holy grail. It was simple, it made sense, and for a very long time, it actually worked.
But, think about it. That rule was developed in the 1990s. The world is just different now. We're living longer, inflation is a whole different beast, and market conditions have totally changed. A rule based on the past isn't always a great guide for the future.
So what is a safe number now? Well, a 2024 study from Morningstar ran the new numbers, and they suggest a safe withdrawal rate for new retirees is actually closer to 3.3%. That's a pretty big difference from 4%. All right, So we've cleared away the fears, we've challenged some outdated advice. What's the big takeaway here? What's your next move?
Now that you know you don't need a fortune to start, that risk is something you can manage, and that this isn't a full-time job, the path forward gets a whole lot clearer, doesn't it? So the only real question left is, what's that first small step going to be for you?